Hi everyone. I don't plan on making a video every night in the future, but so much has happened since my last video that I feel like there's enough to update you all on. For context, I hope that you have seen my previous video. If not, you're probably aware of the situation, but I will be under the assumption that you know the details that I spoke about last time. We're gonna just go down a timeline of what's happened since last night regarding Chris Chan and his mother Barbara. Where we left off the story last time, Barbara was in the hospital getting a wellness check to check if Chris had done anything to her and to see if she was mentally lucid, and Chris had been told by the police that he could not contact her or return to his home for 6 days. He was sleeping in a parking lot. Null was not able to transfer money to Chris so that he could go to a hotel because it was a weekend and Chris had bad credit, and so it would take 3 working days to give him money. At the time, Null was also holding money for a GoFundMe that was set up so that Chris could go to a brony convention. Null wanted to give this money to Chris so that he could afford a hotel and anything else that he needed, any amenities, any food that he needed until he could return home. We are also aware that Null knew a secret about Chris that nobody else knew. Originally, Null thought that this secret was what Chris was covering up by lying about sleeping with his mother. It was then very questionable about why he confessed to it. We will learn that whole story in a bit. Null went on a live stream with a lawyer later that night, and he gave the following details. Chris was sleeping in a parking lot, presumably in his car. He had negative $200 in his bank account. The cops in his county had received roughly 200 phone calls about Chris on July 30th. The persona of the troll who Chris talked to on the phone is possibly named Bella. Chris had actually forgiven that troll after they probably claimed that they were hacked, and he was still talking to that person even after he had been released by the police. So that person is more important and meaningful to him than Null, MKR, and his other friends because he was still in contact with them. Now again, for context, when this audio first leaked, Null made a post on the Kiwi forum saying it was probably fake because Null knew a secret about Chris. On this live stream last night, Null explained what that secret was. Chris had actually told Null that he had a girlfriend. He was having sex. This is obviously surprising to many people. Chris said that this person was in their mid or upper 50s, and then gave a series of details to Null about this woman after Null asked. Null told Chris not to tell people about her and to keep her identity secret, so Null thought that Chris was lying, saying that he slept with his mother because he wanted to brag about having sex, but didn't want to admit that he had a girlfriend. He thought that people would believe that he slept with his mother and that that would not be as bad as them knowing the identity of his girlfriend so that she would get trolled and then he would lose her. Null has uploaded the screenshots from his messages to Chris on the Kiwi farms, so we're going to look over those now. On July 5th, 2021, Chris sent this to Null. Keep in mind that he claimed that him and Barb started having sex on June 27th. He said to Null, "Now, I also have a major update to share with you, strictly confidential. The past week up to Sunday the 27th has been a major game changer for the positive with me. I tell you this in the strictest confidence and trust. I do not want word of this on the Kiwi or going public. But I had sex with someone last week. Someone of this half of our universe." Keep in mind that Chris very often claims that he has sex with his fictional spouses. They only exist on the other side of the dimensional curtain in Dimension C197. I worked thoroughly and compassionately with her beforehand, and at present. She's physically older than I. If heard, one may say it's something out of an anime or fan fiction. But yeah, keeping her safe as well. Also, next appointment with my doctor is on the 20th, so I'll get checked then to be safe. Condoms are being used in the intercourse. Keep in mind he's talking about his girlfriend, not Barb here. This relationship was something I have extensively given much deep thought and within myself. I had foreseen this among the infinite possible outcomes long ago. I no longer believe in labels that would hinder, and I do not listen to those shadows. This was of my own choice and acceptance, and I have no regrets. This feels right and good with I and her. Those last couple of sentences are a little suspect there, but Null didn't have context for what Chris might actually be meaning, so he says, "Really? How'd you meet?" Chris responds, "Well, I've met her a while ago, and was not fully aware at the time, and my ally deities guided me to seek her out and make things go further with great effort. We have talked off and on during the time in person. Behind a considerable camouflage but she was honest in her emotions, and she wanted to be with me as well. Mutual feelings on good rapport. This relationship has been, from the start, offline and in person, I assure you. So the other gods, including Jesus, told Chris that he should date this person and have sex with them. Chris is saying it's not someone he met on the internet, it's someone he met in real life, and that they have feelings for him too. Null then asks for a picture of her. Woof! Pressing hard for details. I do have photos of my lady friend, but I feel it too personal at this time. I did mention she was older than I. She's in the over 50s. Keep in mind his phrasing of that. And she definitely does not want to be spread around. As one of my more curious followers may have found through my Amazon by now, I even recently purchased a valuable and informative book to add additional guidance. The book is called The Ultimate Guide to Sex and Disability. I'm guessing that this part up here should be yellow, and thus should be Null talking. It makes more sense that way. So Null would say, I'm not trying to press, just curious. It's good you're both into things like anime. And Chris would continue, actually, she doesn't watch much anime or animated series, or even television these days for that matter. Adam West was one of her favorite people back in the 60s, however, as it was for her son back then. And Null says, well, that's cool, I hope it works out. And Chris says, it is, smiley face. I have found great appreciation for her in reading her deeply, and in listening to her stories and life adventures. Her high school days were quite fun for her. An intellectual she is, worked a lot in numbers and accounting. So this person worked in accounting when they were younger. Let's keep that in mind. Also, you may note what I have told you of my lady friend so far and in future. I kinda want you to figure it out for yourself. What does that mean, Chris? As also the few others I've strictly confided with this detail. Don the Sham and Wildcat are the two others who have additional clues as well. Don the Sham is the author of the Chris Chan Warhol book. Obviously, Chris trusted him enough to tell him that he was sleeping with someone. I have spoken with Don, and he wants me to assure the public that Chris has not received any compensation for the book. Apparently, Chris was saying that he was going to be selling signed copies or something at the Brony convention that he's no longer going to, and Don wanted to make sure that you knew that he was not associated with that in any manner. Wildcat is a member of the Watchmen. And I've mentioned this to my doctor as well, without mentioning her name directly at all in any event, so he's probably asked if he was sexually active, and he said yes. I will see my doctor on the 20th, so I will get tested to confirm lack of STDs then. Okay. She and I have our romps in the sack every 3 nights at present. That is the same detail that Chris gave to Bella in their phone call, that him and Barb were having sex every 3 nights. And also, him and Barb were having sex starting on the 27th, which is also when Chris said that he started with this girlfriend. It does give her something to look forward to. She is very grateful, and I am also appreciative in being able to enlighten her with sex play she missed out on from even her exes. And Null says, you should definitely not tell anyone who she is. It'll only complicate the relationship if people start harassing her. And Chris says, obviously. Well, he didn't follow that advice. And Null says, it's a good sign you've kept it secret so far, but don't risk it. And Chris says, yes, shh. We are safe, as long as none of this, even the obscure details, get leaked at all in public view or on Kiwi. Null says, good idea. I'd honestly advise not telling even people you trust that you have a girlfriend at this point. And Chris says, not telling anyone else after you, I do promise. So Null believed that because these details that Chris said about his girlfriend line up so perfectly with the details he told Bella in the call about Barb, that Chris was lying to Bella, that he wanted to tell her the details and brag about his sex life, but that he didn't want to tell her that he had a girlfriend so that people would harass her, and instead he lied and said it was Barb. Yeah, that's not the case. It is in fact the opposite. We still don't know who this Bella person was or who anyone in that phone call were, but it was Barb the whole time. Chris was lying to Null. All of these were little sneaky lies that Chris could tell. She's in her over 50s. Well, a normal person would assume that that means her late 50s, but what Chris really meant is that she was over 50. And 80 is over 50. Barb was also an accountant when she was younger. Chris said that she works in accounting. He met her offline and has known her for a long time. Yeah, because she's his mom. When I originally set out to make this video, I wanted to go over the possibilities that would still exist for how it might not be true. There are people out there who still don't believe it for one reason or another, and I wanted to go over their reasoning. Not to give you something to, like, cope with, not to, hold on to one last desperate piece of hope that it's not true, but just to enlighten you on what other people are thinking. One of the, if not the best argument for why it wasn't true was Null's information about this secret girlfriend. That has just turned into the best argument for why it is true. Not only did Chris confirm it to this Bella person on the call, not only did Chris double confirm it to a member of the Watchmen and to Dylan, but information that he was feeding Null 2 months ago now lines up with all the details that we have. There's basically only one possibility left, and that is that it is all in his imagination. This is something that me and MKR discussed last night. It's also something that Gino brought up on his stream. He's actually streaming currently as I'm recording this. And that's that it wasn't the real Barb, it was Barb from the other dimension, and Chris is psychically having these sexy times, and he only believes that it's actually happening because he is so wholeheartedly in his faith of the other dimension, and so he thinks it's real, and so he's telling other people that it's real. That is quite literally, at this point, the only possible way that this could be false. And yeah, no, I'm not buying that. I think that if it was fake, there would be more quickisms in his details and his discussion of the events. Instead, he was very straightforward. He said things as they would actually happen. He didn't paint himself in this perfect light, besides the things about how he gave her her first orgasm, because even his father couldn't do that. Everything else, including her not wanting to do it at first, including it being painful for her in the beginning, including it taking a couple times for them to get going, including him doing it for her because he thinks it'll make her feel better given her lack of mobility and lack of lucidity. Those are things that he would only admit, basically, if they were true. Those aren't things I believe that he would invent. Those are real-world things. I am 99% sure that it's real and it happened, and that 1% is just because he has not been found guilty in a court of law. That's the same that I would give to anyone who was arrested for anything. Chris has not been arrested yet. In fact, it's very likely, given these crimes, that he would not be arrested. Barb would have to, like, press charges, basically, unless the state decided that she was not capable of doing so. And she would be like a ward of the state, and then the state would say that, oh, Chris, you hurt her, so you're going to jail. There's also the question of which of them would get in trouble if it's incest. If both of them are able to consent, and both of them are seen to be in their sound minds, and neither has power over the other, then they would both get in trouble for incest. If it's seen that Barb is a caretaker to Chris, then only she would get in trouble. And the argument for that is that she is his mother, she's older than him, and that she owns the house, things like that. And that Chris is autistic and delusional. The argument for Chris being a caregiver to Barb is that she is not lucid and not very mobile. Chris has spoken many times online about how he basically takes care of the house and her and all the pets and everything. He even made a video begging his half-brother to come and take care of her because he couldn't do it anymore. That makes me think that he is in fact the caretaker. I don't know if that's how the law would see it, but that is my opinion, which means that even if she consented and was lucid, it's very possible that only he would get in trouble. That's not the end of things, though. Null also said on his livestream that he would not help Chris anymore if it was confirmed that Barb did not consent. You'll see why that doesn't matter in a minute. The Watchmen confirmed to me, and Null also stated on this live stream, that the Brony Convention had rescinded their offer to Chris, so he is no longer going, even if he wanted to, or if he wasn't in prison. So later in the night, Chris somehow got the funds to go to a hotel, so he did not, in fact, spend the entire night in a parking lot. He also got food. And now there's one more update. There's one more very important piece of information. So Chris has access both to his bank account and also to Barb's bank account. And he needed money fast because he had negative $200. So he wired himself $750 from Barb's account into his own account. Null was able to see this because Null has access to Chris's emails, and so he saw the confirmation email. Null then contacted Chris and asked him why Barb sent him money, and Chris lied and said it didn't happen. And then Null sent him a screenshot and said, I can see that it happened. So Chris admitted it. This is both in violation of the protection order, because it would count as Chris contacting Barb, and also possibly theft, because if Chris did not contact Barb, if he did not ask her permission, then he literally stole $750 from her. Because of this, Null took this information and sent it to the police and then washed his hands of the entire situation. Chris broke the law right after being detained by the police, and Null no longer can help him. So the police know that Chris stole this money, and Null is no longer helping him. Very few people are still in contact with Chris, which is why the updates have slowed down since this development. So I actually have been speaking to a police officer about the laws in regard to this situation, and again, Null last night spoke to a lawyer. The officer told me that Chris is 100% violating the protection order by taking money out of Barb's account unless he's a joint holder on the account. Although he says that that is probably not true. So the theft part may not stick. He does say that it's very likely that if this is true, if Chris did steal the money, if he was not a joint holder in the account, then it is something that he would be arrested for. I don't have updates from Chris for the last couple hours. Right now it is 10 p.m. Eastern Time on July 31st. As of 2 hours ago, I am in contact with someone who was in contact with Chris, and I know that he was not arrested. But yes, my current plan is to not do these updates every night. I will hopefully only do my weekly video on probably Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'll go over everything in more detail than I've been doing here, and also things that happened before his arrest. So, yeah, I don't know. If you want very up-to-the-date stuff, go to my Twitter. It's GiBi_Devin. Basically everything I went over in this video, I tweeted out last night as it was being revealed. Thanks for everyone who followed me on Twitter. I got like 1,000 followers yesterday. That was crazy, and a bunch of new YouTube subs. I want to make it very clear that I'm not doing this to milk the Chris getting arrested situation. This is stuff that I was doing long before this. This is stuff that I was doing to my very niche audience, and just because my audience is now a much wider group of people who are interested in the topic doesn't mean that I suddenly have different motives. It doesn't mean that I'm suddenly only in it for the money instead of in it for being interested in the topic. And I don't know, it kind of feels wrong to say that I'm doing it because I care about Chris. I mean, I do care about him in one sense, but it's kind of hard to say that now that he's banged his mom. But yeah, Rogue Internet Man did a stream, and Gino Samuel did a stream, and I will also link the stream that Null did in the description below. And I just, as I keep saying, don't believe everything that you see. There was a fake video going around Twitter of a naked person being chased by the police, and it was claimed that that was Chris, and no, it was not. A Twitter user also claimed that they had video of Chris engaging in sexual acts with Barb, and that was also not true. So please use logic to decide if something seems to be too crazy to be true, and choose your sources of information carefully. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna get some rest.